Hello everybody and welcome back. We've got, game 2 of our best of 2 series between University of Toronto and Texas A&M Maroon squad from the university. And yeah, so for him, U of T took it in a pretty decisive fashion. What are you looking forward to heading into game 2?
I mean, I'm looking forward to maybe a little bit faster play. There was a moment about mid-game where we saw U of T start to recognize that, hey, starting to win these battles, especially when you have the reju beads on you, I desperately feel like if you're facing off against a top team later on, they're not going to let you sit like that. And if they're in that same position, they're going to kind of push you at a faster pace to end the game a little bit faster as well. Now, I did like the fact that you pointed out that there were some changes. Obviously, once you take the base guardians, you don't want to hop right away into taking those shrines. You don't want to rush it down that way. But I do feel for U of T, they had a very structured composition. The Billy, the Page, and everything like that were synergizing very well. And I think they could have rolled out a victory a little bit faster instead of waiting for, I think at one point it was the third mid-boss drop for them to be able to finish off the game. So for U of T, I want to see the same composition, I want to see the same style, but I want to see it executed at a much cleaner pace.
Yeah, that was pretty well said. When it comes to like you mentioned, right, the better teams will force you to end the game faster. Otherwise, they'll find more opportunities, more vectors here to get into the game. Definitely did feel like U of T, they really fell into a little bit of complacency, just to slow the game down, collect all of your neutrals and slowly play from there. When we're looking at the draft, though, right, we have a lot of opportunity to change things up compared to the last time, namely from Texas A&M. I want to see more of those carries get picked up early. I don't want them to be left towards the end. And when we look at the bans, we have a Calico and Wraith, same bans from the teams, settling into a little bit of a norm.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. Again, you just want to take out that big DPS carry at the end of the day. It's just very annoying to deal with. So it makes sense. Last time we took a look at this, though, it was, as you mentioned, pretty hefty on that Moe and Curl side. It looks like it'll be drafted once more. Pretty much pick or ban at this point for a lot of the teams. Just that easy access to the CC. The Pommel Party is just brutal to deal with. To match pace, though, last time we saw the Venator come out of TMU, which they're now on that first pick starting side. So maybe a little bit different in there. It will be a lock into the Venator, though, so
okay.
Might be looking at a little spicy run back.
Yeah, I'm interested that these teams are, willing to swap the drafts from last round just so mirroredly, at least so far, right? Although I am expecting to see the Venator get played into more of an M1 carry playstyle. I mean, we sort of saw it from Texas A&M. They invested a lot into grenades early, and then they went into more gun damage focused items. U of T, they do have an opportunity to make a little bit of a difference. Dreamlion has before played some melee Venator up on the stage, so there is an opportunity here for this to be flexed and then misclicked their M1 carry player to pick up a different character. And we've seen U of T get very comfortable with their Mirages, with their Wardens, and now it's actually going to be a Billy that gets picked up next. A little bit more frontline wouldn't do you bad.
Yeah, I like it. They've also locked away a lot of that DPS factor that the Venator can have. I remember a moment where TMU Maroon basically came around a corner, was able to hold University of Toronto. It was one of the first few team fights that University of Toronto actually lost because of the Venator. Now you have it on your side, you have it paired with the Billy. You can pretty much ensure that those stakes are going to drive home a lot of force against the opponents. And so for Texas A&M Maroon, you're going to be sitting there going, okay, we're in this position once more, and as Spafflez said, we need to make sure we get some true DPS. Yeah, you can't be going in a situation of having, just a simple bystander in these situations.
Yeah, and we see Texas A&M, they're rolling out that Page. Really big deny against that Billy, and I think it was you that said it the first time around. Billy, a lot of his power comes unlocked once you have that Page to back you up with the shields, with the cleanses, with the extra healing that she provides. So, Texas A&M getting to deny that is pretty good, but now that you're locking in your third ban here, we're looking for some damage. I mean, Paradox is a very strong initiator with the recent changes. She's become more of like a gun hybrid sort of off carry, but Okay, certainly it's a lot more damage, and it's trending in the direction that we wanted it to go, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, I can agree with that. Paradox will be
Yep.
a fun one to watch for and a fun DPS to follow through on. But for Texas A&M, you want to have a large early game presence with it. So, the swap, the extra damage comes through. It's not amazing, but we'll see if it can change in favor for Texas A&M. Remember, that was their first DPS drafted here in game number two, which means University of Toronto get their Sinclair once more. That Sinclair did a lot of work back in game one, a lot of magical moments, a lot of bunnies jumping around. It's a problem, big time problem, and University of Toronto were gifted that ability once more. Huge pickup for them.
Yep. Now, as we transition here into our next set of games, it's going to be University of Toronto taking the pocket off, and Texas A&M, they're going to reban that Ivy. So Pocket's really, really strong. I mean, we all saw the amount of impact that he had. The spotlight might have been shown on that Warden, on some of the bigger, like, flashier damage people, but Pocket was always, really integral to those team fights, to taking him out of contention here. Does deny Sinclair from a decent ult that they could steal for themselves, but I don't think they're really at a shortage for now.
Yeah, and I actually wonder about this because you look on the other side, there's not a substantial amount of healing just yet. The Paradox will have a little bit of a swap, but it's on the HP bar. It's not like not like a little extra in the back pocket. So the fact that they opted to ban out the pocket instead shows that they're going for a Lotus sustain of their own. University of Toronto now grabbing that McGinnis, forcing less and less comfortability from Texas A&M. When we saw the Mo and Krill, it was great for them. When we saw the Page and Paradox, we're a little bit questioning, and now we got to see what those last few picks for this Maroon squad are going to be.
Yeah, and I really do like, McGinnis sitting in this comp a little bit better, even if she still does invest really heavily into that damage, into that barrage, her ultimates. She does still have that heal that she provides. She does still have some good CT on her wall, and when you're not drafting her into a triple support comp, I think that that's really where she's going to shine a lot more. You see Texas A&M, they're going to lock in that Warden, and I guess it's another big deny pick, right? Warden. As with the rest of this team so far from Texas A&M, they're drafting a little bit more early game heavy. This is going to be a really strong mid game comp, especially when you max out that cage, get that silence in. They're going to be looking very fearsome.
Yeah, I like it overall. Now we're looking at the last two picks to come on through. Texas A&M going to be hoping to hone in on maybe a fresher DPS, and there it is, the tried and true style of the Lash and Warden, a combination as true as time itself for Deadlock. It makes sense. You got the CC, you got that variability in there. It's time for Texas A&M to really try and gain victory for themselves.
Yep, Lash incredibly good during those team fights, although does require them to be taken in the open. You have to be very peculiar about where you fight with the Lash. Because if he's not able to use those buildings, use the height to his advantage, he's really going to start to struggle. So there is some potential there for the location and the environments to really hamper him, especially when you have a Kelvin Dome coming through. Kelvin is just a massive source of AoE healing, of AoE utility. You're going to really struggle to catch them off guard unless you really wait out some of his big moves.
Yeah, I mean, the Frozen Dome is one of the most blatant disregards to any sort of engagement, any sort of pull or anything like that. Yep. We saw it used almost counterproductively in the previous game, but that was because University of Toronto were able to kind of run roughshod over that matchup. We are taking a look at the last pick for both teams, though. As for Texas A&M, you're kind of going, okay, we got to figure something out. The final pick, though, is a B-bot for University of Toronto, going all with this triple DPS threat of the McGinnis, the Sinclair, as well as the Fentor, and then one to sit with long range artillery. Just being this bot makes me so excited to see what's gonna go down with these comps.
Yeah, there's so much multifaceted damage here. Like I said, there's just so much artillery, so much range. And we see Texas A&M, they lock in that Victor. We had a little bit of a bait last round where we thought it was going to be a Victor, but it ended up being a Viscous. Now it is actually the Frankenstein's monster himself. So a lot of really strong late game insurance. I think University of Toronto are really going to struggle into him if he's able to scale is if he's able to build those Infinity Stone items, you know, get the Infuser, get the, you know, escalating exposure, all of those. So really strong composition here from both of these teams going around. You know, going to give a little bit of a read ahead, right? We're expecting Texas A&M to really take that early game advantage. But University of Toronto, they're not doing too shabby for themselves, especially later on.
And I think that one of the big things that we saw University of Toronto looking very confident after that game number 1. We heard a little bit of the banter in our own side channels. I can understand that, you know, even though they have, you know, been waiting for this opportunity, they are going to draw a lot of blood here. If that McGinnis gets rolling, that's great. If that Sinclair gets rolling as well, that's great. If Venador is able to really pop off in this instance, there's so many good targets to look at those finishers, especially with a Lash and Warden. These two love to play on kind of the edge of their seat when it comes to HP departments. I want to see University of Toronto be able to come out with the victory, especially with this Bebop. I want to see the hooks land left and right and just denying people a good time.
Yep, that is, I think, going to be one of the big deciding factors is can this Bebop hook people? Especially if you want to be extra greedy, you combo a hook into a shelter, into an ice dome, and wow, you're just completely gone. Although Texas A&M, they do have some utility that can go through that barrier, like the Page ulti. You're going to really struggle to support your isolated teammates. Now, given from the rest of this draft, I can pretty safely say this is not going to be a melee Venator. You know, fun fact for all of you that are out there in the chat.
I mean, we're not going to stop you from trying, but
I mean, hey, we have some pretty funny numbers going in behind the scenes, right? Last time the melee Venator was picked, it was actually coin flipped for between Big Fat B and Dreamlion, who were really excited at the opportunity to do that. And then the melee Venator proceeded to get parried not 1, not 2 times, but 15 times in the laning phase. So
it's the fact that they kept track of it. It's the fact that they kept track of it is the funnier part about it. That's where you're just like, all right, it might be warranted. It might be warranted in there. So hopefully they have had time to practice because we are heading into the game for this game number 2. Keep in mind, University of Toronto currently up 1-0 here in this best of 2. They're looking to do a little bit more with that name as well. If they can get started, they'll go ahead and put their kind of motion in plan for what is going to be a nice little start on the edge. The Mo and Krill looking to juggle a little bit more.
Yeah, we're seeing some familiar lane matchups here compared to last time. We got a Venator and a Kelvin running into this Paradox Warden. They're going to be a pretty high damage lane, although Kelvin does take a lot of the edge off of that for U of T. We're looking over into the middle lane. You've got Bebop Sinclair, absolutely huge Spirit Nuker, is going to be able to dish out a lot of damage if you get just a little too close. So it's going to be a really big struggle here for that Page, for that Victor to lane into them, at least in an active capacity. And then when you're looking over at the left side lane, right, you've got Mo and Krill and Lash. I'm not really expecting to see too many kills there, especially since, you know, we don't have a Mo and Krill that's level 1 at 50 HP under their Guardian already.
That was a very rough moment, by the way. When I pointed that out, I was just like, you know, it's a thing, but it is a very dangerous thing to have situated for you. So, as you said, University of Toronto might not have to deal with that. There's going to be a little bit of a look, though, as Fractal is looking a little bit better on this Billy once more. No major catches and no major threats, but might be enough to just cause a stir. Doesn't really feel like anyone wants to make that first big dangerous move, but for University of Toronto, early push on the Guardian in the mid, already taking down about 20% HP on it. Burn coming through with the Arctic Beam, slowing down everyone, including this Warden, who is now in a 1v2. I don't think they like being here. So it's a nice try back. Texas A&M University protecting their Warden.
Yeah, it was a really solid trade. Grenade freezing your stamina regen entirely now instead of just being a slow. Really hurts Warden here as a 3-stand hero, and he was able to make his way out of it. And we did see the Kelvin had a bit of a misplay, so giving the advantage back over to Texas A&M. Now they're leading in behind that Guardian. Misclicked is the first one to fall, pretty uncharacteristically of him, and that is a whole solo kills worth of souls going over to Paradox.
I don't think we were really expecting that either. Gigabyte, who in the previous game had a little bit of a struggle trying to kind of come out with that victory and just kind of got put down into the ground afterwards. Great opener. I give him a lot of credit. You open up strong. Now you can look to bring that Paradox as kind of a solo interesting pick to the forefront and cause a lot of members of the University of Toronto to look your way.
Yeah, we can also see their Styler going back at it again with the really aggressive box routes. Jungling deep into your opponent's territory, never really showing fear, no matter the odds. And it does look like Texas A&M, they're going to respect it this time. Whether or not they spotted him is another story, but last time they had chased him pretty deep and pretty far. Now that we're setting up again, though, we see the Lashmill and Krill there taking some poke from their opponents.
Yeah, Mo and Krill, never a fancy one for the left side lane. In the mid, though, it's a whole different story, as that was a parry, I believe, that caught them a little bit off guard. And for Plague, you're trying to sit back for the moment. It really does feel like for University of Toronto, this mid lane has been their main prio in terms of getting some of those victories in. They've used it to proper essence. Guardian still being whittled away, close to about 60% left before being locked down for good.
Yep, now this is, sort of what we expected to see out of this lane. You're not really going to be able to remove a Mill and Krill with the amount of sustain that they have. And I think I saw like a big 350 health heal just off of one ability cast. But they are able to get some good tower damage in, and now we see a big parry come out onto the Bebop. Pissed is able to do so much damage, but it's going to be a parry in return during that page route. Now 75 HP drops down to 19. And while he was able to get the bomb off there, it wasn't enough to secure the kill.
No, it wasn't. Nice job by Piss, coming back with a little bit of vengeance on this page. Stole it away from University of Toronto to get a little bit of a side angle themselves. This is going to put Texas A&M Maroon up in terms of the souls count. Even though it's only 1,000, it's not that much. It still feels like a win in their book. The small wins will lead to bigger wins, and big wins leads to the overall win of the game. Maybe even the series in the future when you reach those playoffs.
Yeah, now both of these teams are going to be trading out bridge buffs. One went U of T's side, A&M's. They were stacking pretty hard on it, so I didn't quite catch exactly what they were, but we see McGinnis here with gun buff. The Lash, diving in really deep. The wall cuts off his escape plan, but no harm, no foul. He's able to make it out anyways.
I think you're more than okay with that one if you're the McGinnis. On the flip, though, Texas A&M, both Pissed and Macro, are taken extremely low. We're watching the right side flank, though, as this is a whole different story. Gigabyte still able to walk away with one. Looking for yet another, but Big Fat B on the flip. He's able to mark territory once more. 2 kills total, though, in one direction for Texas A&M, as they only lost one on the left side field. Mid, though, loses their Guardian, so for University of Toronto, they're saying it's a worthwhile trade.
That is really, really good if you're Texas A&M, and really, really bad if you're University of Toronto. Seeing this Warden get accelerated further, get a double kill, is really huge for the character. It helps them hit their mid-game spikes a lot faster. But on the flip side there, U of T, they've got a lot of ground to make up for. We do see a trade happening off-screen where Big Fat B trades their life for Encores. I wonder how that happened.
I wonder as well, but we'll figure that out in the end. I think here, this is all about just getting that Lash the ability to kind of punch on forward and look for a grab at the end of the day. A little bit of fight here on the left side lane as everyone's kind of gathering here. At least 3 bodies on either end, and that can lead to a dangerous score. The fact that they rotated Johnny in for the mix, but is it going to be enough? As off the sandbags they go, chasing up a little bit higher. Basic gun damage gonna poke Plague down quite low, and here comes the chase that they were looking for. Punch back from the Guardian, but the mark by John locks them down. Great chase by University of Toronto. They'll use this time to bring even more damage to the left side flank.
Yeah, we see here on the side as well, Styler catching out this Victor, turning them into a bunny, and is able to get a decent amount of damage there, and Macro Jesus does not have the ultimate resurrection available, so things could start looking pretty scary if he starts to push himself a little bit too far. I do notice as well there's an egg in his inventory, so definitely playing here for the long term. As we zoom into the other side of the map, it's a really nice swap there onto Misclick. He's having a pretty rough go of things as Gigabyte seems to have his number.
I think this Paradox is surprising him a lot more. Those adjustments that you talked about back in the big patch has really yielded results. 3-0-1 so far, going for the M1 carry style. And it's only going to continue 6.7k in their favor. They'll look to kind of apply that maybe more towards the mid now, but at the current moment they're just rotating around, looking for a chance at a drop and where that most likely place would be after all the camps are cleared.
At Texas A&M are all up in U of T's double buffs, or double centers here, and they're going to be able to cover their own, actually, as we see the Billy from Fractal just getting forced out entirely. It didn't quite catch if he was able to get one of the centers or not, but again, this is another brutal extension, or a start, even, of their soul lead.
Barrage is almost ready.
Oh, lots of pings going down, as right now Gigabyte is on fire with their wins. We're seeing a meeting of the minds here in the mid so far. A little bit of a look here as a Big Fat B. You're saying you're doing all right. The center sacrifice will be punched out more ways than one. You walk away with a hefty chunk of change in your own pocket, 1,600, enough to buy out on that healing right upgrade. I like it. I do appreciate it. Will it be enough? I have no idea.
Yeah, when we look at the solo allocation for both of these teams, you have a lot of it on the right people. When you're looking at Texas A&M, you really want to have your Warden there leading the charge. You have your Victor, who has a lot, though he is, getting a little bit critical fighting out those camps. University of Toronto, they're trying to, bring back that Venator there, just completing his call to sacrifice. He's, strapping in for the long term, as this might be a bit of a longer round. We do see a bit of an engage here from the Paradox, not been able to finish off the kill there, but Plague comes out from behind the Frozen Shelter to secure everyone in place, and it's going to be the Sinclair stealing that Wombo combo. Not quite able to do enough damage there.
You're able to heal everything back up. You say no big deal, and now allows the laser to burn on out in the retreat. Texas A&M overextend ever so slightly and lose a member in return. That Bebop Hyper B is so powerful here. People look for a little bit more. No Ivy with the airdrop, but it's enough to deter another round of Texas A&M University Maroons. Strides at trying to kind of take them over from within.
Yep, now there is a bit of a fight here happening over the earn pickup. Sinclair is able to, make his way out pretty safely. And now both of these teams are rotating over onto the deposit point. You see U of T playing a lot more defensively, making sure this Calvin makes it there with, the full HP. The thing here from this fight is going to vary quite a lot, right? You don't have that Ice Shelter, you don't have Hyper Beam from Bebop if you're on University of Toronto's side. And then Texas A&M, they're also missing their combo, right? There are still some very big ultimate abilities that can be deployed. As we see here, the McGinnis one leads the charge.
I think for the McGinnis, you're kind of happy about where you're currently sitting, but there's a dive on in. Quick little arc as Janali drops a dream very, very quickly. Fractal will fall as well. Texas A&M saying, guys, we don't deal in uncertainties, we deal in truths, and the truth is, you're getting defeated, at least for the moment and a half. Big Factory chases out after that Hyper Beam. It feels much more personal as well for University of Toronto. This is where I think Texas A&M are starting to wake up, though. That's another mark as Janali wins out another duel, but they will drop to just a few other members on the other side. Big Fat B may or may not be landing all the hooks, but is surely landing the kills.
Yeah, that Bebop is getting mighty strong there in the background, and I do think it was an earn deposit there for U of T that would explain throughout the madness how they managed to go up in souls. Good trades there all around for both of these teams, right? Although obviously you don't want to see your Warden taking the fall too early. Now we do have a lot of fighting about to happen here on the left-hand side. Texas A&M, they're really threatening this Guardian. And what the Venator and Billy might not know is that there's a Mo and Krill just, lurking in the background ready in case things go further.
Well, we'll see what more they can do. Even with Texas A&M winning a lot of these trades, they're actually behind a little bit in that Souls count. It might be because of this. Some of those kills have been very, very crucial. Styler able to make a mark and keep Big Fat B alive, but I love the idea of University of Toronto being like, hey, Getting wheel jewelry, man. That's not going to help everyone out. We're trying to help everyone out here. So we'll see where Texas A&M decide to deploy more antics. As the page says, hello to Styler.
Yeah, the Boundless Spirit getting picked up on top of a Rapid Recharge. The Sinclair is very well online. Nobody really wants to lane into him unless you have, your own full suite of defensive anti-spirit items. We're looking over onto the left-hand side of the map there. We have the Venator from University of Toronto. Misclicked is just getting collapsed on yet again. There's not going to be any chance for an escape as they don't even need the Paradox swap to finish the job. Now we're looking on the other side of the map again, and we have the Kelvin squad rolling up, defending actually against Texas A&M's ruthless barrage. They're not quite able to convert a kill off of the combo, and U of T, they look to be scot-free from this.
Yeah, I think U of T, they did very well. They pushed up the mid, didn't force it at all too much. They're able to keep the other side lanes a little bit more under control. So kind of like where they're at right now, they're more just worried about getting caught out in the transition periods because they know Texas A&M are starting to get hungry for these rare ganks, for these rare kills that can give them a little bit more of a lead. There's the eyes though, and take a look at where the Kelvin is. Kelvin, Dream Lion, ready to chase one more out and about, but teammate wasn't exactly the kind one, so instead you say, we'll hold off for a bit. We will wait in this corner pocket and just wait for someone to walk into the trap.
Yeah, no, we are seeing some really big hotspots here. Bridge buffs are about to spawn in about 40 seconds, and U of T were able to successfully claim their double center sacrifices this time around with the help of the Kelvin. So that's a good change as compared to earlier. But now both of these teams, they seem to be playing pretty aggressively on this left-hand side of the map. U of T don't really want to give any space that they don't have to. Meanwhile, Texas A&M, it's really theirs for the taking, right? They have the lash ult, they have the swap, and just as I say it, the swap gets pulled out onto Styler. Doesn't have the assistance off cooldown, so he is going to take the fall. Now, Frozen Shelter does come out. The Billy is able to fight pretty well into it, and the Janali gets taken down next. We have the Mo and Krill on the retreat. He's able to juke them now.
I mean, I like that initiative, though. Once again, for University of Toronto, they're more than willing to try and sacrifice in favor of saving their teammates. Styler going down there was just like, okay, guys, we're gonna make some magic happen here. For University of Toronto, I want to see them keep pressuring out. They got the mid. They're trying to hold on to the last Guardian, which at this point in time is not so different than Texas A&M on the right side battlefield doing the exact same, hanging on to their Guardian. Who's going to break first is the big question to me. Who is going to allow that crack to come through and make almost all other principles that they valued previously kind of go to naught?
Yeah, Encore there picks up the Urn, is able to escort it back to your teammates to carry it further, but it does look like a fight starting to break out. The Hyper Beam does go through, but is going to be canceled early just for safety. And we do also see a Billy just fighting in really deep. Fractal showing no fear.
I see Billy.
And whenever you see that kind of go through, it's a whole different story. What a shot, though. A style rocks forward in a different direction. The Venator gets walked out, but not through that Paradox wire. Instead, it's just a straight up rundown. One is all you need. No time to pressure down another Guardian, so it is going to be space taken by University of Toronto, keeping their lead moment. Johnny Encore's light, and it feels like the kills are slowly walking their way in. University of Toronto have built a composition that is starting to get a lot of big results. One more 3v1 for the road is what we're asking for.
Yep, Macro Jesus gets their ultimate popped, and there's not quite enough here to be able to secure that kill, right? Texas A&M, after securing that Urn, are able to, rotate themselves over. So now they're going to be able to back out no issue. Now 93k souls per team. The advantage has, all but dissipated. Now we do see Macro Jesus, 21k souls. The Warden from Encore, k souls. Still ahead of anything that University of Toronto are individually able to offer up against them, but as a team, things are a lot more even.
Yeah, it feels like the only thing that might be different is how many charges for their abilities have they been able to lock in. And are they going to be able to put them to very good use? Game number one went about 34, 35 minutes. We kind of assumed that they could go a little bit longer, but it feels like the game was already decided about 20 to 25. I want to see that happen once more by University of Toronto, but for Texas A&M University, it's all about holding their own pride high as they look to centralize and bring the main support towards that mid.
Yeah, now one of the big mix-ups that's going to happen this round is Misclicked being so behind, or not behind, but set back compared to where they typically are, as that, you know, position one, you're a major farming carry, he loves to split push. You're going to struggle here to 1v1 pretty much anyone from the Texas A&M cast, which means you're going to have to be forced a little bit out of your comfort zone. You either have to group with the rest of your team, or you're going to have to invest a lot more of that extra time just to scale yourself up in terms of souls. Now both of these teams are grouping up onto that right hand side. See the Bebop from Big Fat B, you know, potentially looking for some big hooks as the Ear Dominate gets ripped.
As quickly as it got ripped, everyone's out of there. They don't want to fight that at all. University of Toronto on the chase, though, straight through a corridor alleyway, and it feels like Texas A&M might have found Encore. Look at the wrong way. Great chase, gives 2 more, 4-player kill streak for Johnny. Now, the question is, can they do more with it? Yes, they can. They find Siler Gigabyte able to answer back with 19,000 to their name. But really, is that going to be enough? Because that was just a push number 1. That is going to be the Guardian down. It's still favorable to University of Toronto. Souls are even. I'm sure there's more to the count than that.
Yeah, now with 2 members from Texas A&M down, University of Toronto, they're looking into this mid boss. The roar does happen at 50% now, so they are given a little bit less time to react, but the Texas A&M roster, they're going to be able to walk in here. The wall is able to prevent them from getting down through that side path, and it's going to be an easy 3 rejuve secure for U of T.
I mean, that was by far one of the easiest mid bosses we've seen today. I think almost every single one in game number 1 had a very rough feeling to it. It always felt like there was another hand in the cookie jar. This time around, it was a smooth take. Nobody came in. No one tried to punch out to steal. They really didn't get that many kills either. 4 children in there just being able to hold onto that mid boss area and just taking it for their own.
Yeah, the wonders of the 20-minute mid boss. You know, mid isn't tanky enough to give up a really good fight, and you have just enough damage to really shut it down fast. Now, U of T emboldened by this rejuve, they're starting to take the urn over. It's another neutral urn. So I don't really foresee Texas A&M putting up too much of a fight. They would much rather trade things out on the opposite side of the map. And as I say that, we see Big Fat B getting collapsed on there by the Paradox.
Yep, and again, it's just Gigabyte. Gigabyte doing Gigabyte things. Of course, there was that rejuve B to keep him alive for a little bit longer, so it's going to be more like teenagers scrapping it out a little bit further. Will they lose yet another Fractal? Waiting for that urn to be returned, so it might not be that big of a miss, but here comes that final stand. The Warden comes into play instead, and it's going to be a mark and a half. McGinnis taken low, but they are going to revive as well. Texas A&M may not be as they wish, but can they clear yet another body? Yes, they do. Johnny goes down again, and this time can't read you. Beautiful job. Dream Lion really focused on that walker, though, and that's the primary objective. So for University of Toronto, they say, hey, it's down, ready for the fight once more. The final stand shocks the rest, and Texas A&M go, where did our HP bars go? So far, Maroon have only gotten Johnny. The rest of the bodies live, and University of Toronto will call that a win for themselves.
Yep, able to secure that urn and defend your walker. You've gotten everything and a little bit more. Now it is going to be a further chase here on the retreating team. The Ensnare does catch out the Warden, and now it is also going to be the Mo and Krill. Able to walk away just a little bit longer, but that wall isn't quite what it used to be. U of T, they're able to walk themselves through, and now they're waiting. Actually, they get ambushed by the Victor.
Yep, I mean, this ambush is perfect. This is something that we saw University of Toronto do before. Very well done in that collection. The last throwdown, though, might be able to turn the tides, but it's too little too late. Big Fat B says, where's the rest of your team, baby? It ain't nowhere close. Gigabyte, low HP, not wanting to stay. Instead, you're in critical condition, and Fractal will take your life instead. University of Toronto amping up the pace here at 22.5 minutes. They now know they are in concise control, and they will use that to their advantage. 2 walkers down in the blink of an eye.
Yeah, that acceleration is exactly what you want to see. And you even see the Sinclair, they're taking the zipline to go in even further. Isn't going to be punished, at least not yet, as the Sinclair still has the Regio Revive left as an option. There's going to be a nice grab there from the Bebop onto Pissed. And there's no coming away from that. Your Page, you're very, very squishy character.
Well, not just that, it's also the fact that you were talking about it, right? This Bebop, when we take a look at it in draft, you really need to see those hooks land. And I feel like what we're seeing from Big Fat B is not just these hooks being landed, but in prime locations. There's a situation where University of Toronto probably wouldn't have broken through on those base guardians, right? But because of that hook that came through, it afforded them an extra 30 seconds. Like, this is very sustained damage that the Bebop is throwing down against Texas A&M.
Yep. Now that, University of Toronto, they're sitting pretty happy with the amount of damage that they've been able to put in, right? Raising that base guardian. I think that there's not really too much that you can do in retaliation. When you're behind by about 30K's game position, the onus to destabilize the match, to make those big plays, shifts from University of Toronto to Texas A&M. They need to destabilize their opponents, potentially at the cost of trading out some of their other side objectives, right? Because if you let this University of Toronto team continue to farm up, continue to build up their advantage through your own jungle and theirs, this is going to be both a slow burn and also unwinnable.
Yeah, it's a very scary thought to be in right now. Texas A&M starting to realize the doors are closing on your access points to this game. You had some earlier. Gigabyte still 4-1-6, by the way. Still doing quite well for themselves at 23, but it's lagging behind a lot of what University of Toronto has to offer. It's a big push out, though. You have 6 on the map, pressuring every single lane, looking to try and get more souls in their pocket. But Macro Jesus, I mean, at 31,000 for their own, the Victor can do a lot of work if given the opportunity to unleash their power. Urn being dropped in. This could be a big pickup. I wonder who's going to get it.
Yeah, this Urn is going to be hotly contested here. Bebop corner peek and just waiting for his chance to snipe somebody. Is not going to be able to find that hook. But now it's a Victor who's walked into his face with the Infuser in tow. Not going to be able to do too much damage to that, as it's going to be the Bebop first kill taken down. And Texas A&M, they're pushing in for more.
I mean, I love that. That's one of the moments that you really have to take advantage of it, and you claw at the opportunity. Slap 2 away, you run away. For University of Toronto, it feels bad that that happened, but the Urn Rush will go in favor of Texas A&M at the end of the day. Well done for them to try and find a way back into this game, but now you're unstoppable. Everyone is right out in the midst, and you called it out earlier. The beginners can erect shop. It's a little bit congested, though. How much damage are you actually going to be able to bring out to the table? Not much. We just saw it utilized, and nobody really went down, and now you're locked in the corner instead. Janali is like, you can't do it like me. Texas A&M will only lose 1 on return. Fractal trying to get some revenge for themselves, and maybe it does enough. That's 2 ripped away. University of Toronto able to salvage something out of that battle, but A&M still looking pretty dang good after that Urn run.
Yeah, you get the Urn, you get the Walker on the side of the map too, and you also pick up yourself some pretty nice kills. Although U of T, they're kind of their lucky stars here. The kills, they went out onto the Bebop, they went out onto the McGinnis, so your carries are still able to continue to farm up. They're not taken out of the picture quite yet, though we do have a mid-boss call here from U of T. They're going to go in pretty aggressively, and now with the Paradox's multi-swap on board and Warden getting ready to change the world, I am expecting a big fight.
Alright, well there it is. University of Toronto able to lock down all three rejuves. Now will the fight happen a little bit more? The schoolyard brawl is turning into an absolute war as Styler rips them all apart. It's once again the Sinclair untouched in the ban phase. Snaps away Janali and Encore. Calls for an encore of the battle itself as University of Toronto storm their way back to a 15,000 souls lead.
Wow, I mean, that fight was an absolute murder. You saw that they got very, very close to contesting that rejuve, but between the bunnies as well as more of the CC that University of Toronto, all of their heroes are able to take on. It really was able to disrupt them and prevent them from taking a proper straight-on fight. And then you see U of T, they're continuing to march in here, trying to race. Scarlet gets caught up with a little bit in midair. Frozen Shelter does come down as well.
I think right now at University of Toronto, they know that they won game number 1, obviously. Game number 2 would do huge for their standings moving into the end of the season. They want a better standing. They just want to feel a little bit more comfortable, and they're going to try and give it to themselves. Nearly 200,000 souls to play with. They're just dancing in the top ropes. Encore trying to force everyone else out, but I don't think it's going to work. Here comes that last stand in the way. Down goes a Plague in the blink of an eye. Dream Lion able to read you back up to play, and Macro Jesus will lose their life as well. University of Toronto kicked down the front doors and says, we are here to stay whether you like it or not. Johnny, the only true fallen player for University of Toronto right now. But the base is in tatters as University of Toronto shatter one more, wipe the enemy team, and are looking for the Amber Shrines.
Wow, 50 seconds on the response here for Texas A&M. U of T are minimum going to be able to reach this patron. Now, they are fresh, so it's going to be a very aggressive play here if they want to try and end it out. Like I said, they're going to be opting in for a full retreat instead. I was about to say that Texas A&M, they are missing a lot of key elements. Although, again, this is, you know, with your standings on the line, you really want to play a little bit more safe, a little bit more guaranteed. The U of T, they're backing up, and they're getting some of these tier 3 camps.
I mean, they're not going to let this type of game go to waste. They're only 30 minutes in. Last time around, I think it took them about 37 to close on out. They have done immaculate work here. One more solid team fight will finish the entire game off, and Texas A&M recognize that as well. They're in a situation where they're going to have one final stand, and I gotta ask you, Spafflez, what would be the ideal team fight for Texas A&M Maroon if they were able, if they're able to kind of turn around this game?
I mean, I think it really all lays onto Jonali, right, with the Lash ults. Yes, Gigabyte being able to find one of those big Paradox swaps would be really nice, but U of T, they really haven't been affording them those opportunities. And, you know, after they got out of that early game to mid-game laning phase, it's really been starving for that Paradox. And, you know, you're looking at the rest of your teammates, right? Your entire team basically is caught up to Texas's carries, right? Misclick, they're sitting pretty at almost 50k. You've got a lot of damage coming out from your team, and now with the urn getting picked up, it's going to be a comeback urn for Texas A&M. But U of T, they got to make a decision. Do we run this urn? Do we risk it? Do we force that fight? Or do we want to stall out just a little bit longer?
I think at this point, the choice might be made for them. As you can see the collection, the urn being run once more. University of Toronto maybe looking to force a fight, or at least hold it out and away from Texas A&M's side. The Arctic Beam coming through for Dream Lion as they farm up even further, 35,000 to their name. Encore and Macro Jesus, the two big carriers, K in each of their banks. They'll be the ones to watch for. Will it be enough? Sinclair for their own as well. Styler has been magical, but only sitting on 40k as well. But Pure in that Spirit energy, ready to free fire. And they're looking to match up. Take a look at this. Battle lines being drawn right now. Same with itemizations.
Yep, no counter itemization, surprisingly enough, for the Victor. And given that he has all of his, you know, mandatory tier 4s completed, this could be the big one that Macro Jesus has been waiting for. Right, yeah, I saw there that Dreamline has the curse queued up, but it's not going to be ready for quite a while. It's an expensive item, and he had no souls. So going into this next fight, it's going to be really, really impactful here. And, you know, Texas A&M, they have all that pick potential, but Are they going to be able to pick someone right now? The urn is still here at play. Not sure what it is given the map though.
I think there was actually some nice tries and thank yous and well plays across both teams, as I think the urn run kind of ended in disaster on both ends. So it's like, all right, everyone go back to the drawing board. We're just going to wait it out once more. 30 seconds on the mid boss, though, is the big one to play for. And you know University of Toronto will be looking for that one for themselves. Time waning down once more. Inventories nearly completely full. I can only imagine that Styler, 5, 2, and 16, Fractal, 6, 1, and 13 for their own, are ready to make a massive ruckus here.
Yeah, we saw there just a minor, the Moe and Curl and the Kelvin see each other. They panic and run away after a short exchange in abilities. But it looks like both of these teams are both posturing around mid, potentially even looking at that mid boss. I know it's a bit scary to look at right away. But if anyone's going to do it, it'll be U of T to really step into that pit first. We see here Mo is very deep, gets the combo connect onto the Kelvin, and there's his health just almost completely gone.
Well, no, it's not just completely. It is completely gone. Great Shatter number 1. Janali will also lose their life, but the resounding battle might be big enough. Dreamline isn't able to lay down that Ice Dome to hold them down, but Fractal wrecks their shot. Pissed walks on in after losing their own life, is able to answer back. This is a very close back and forth right now. It's coming down to the M1 carries like you talked about, but Styler and Misclick say we are the carries that you need in a situation like this as they wash through Texas A&M Maroon, and it's only Macro Jesus, the last one alive that had a mini rejuve as well. They will be swept out of the battle, and it is University of Toronto to make a race straight for the base.
Counter items, who needs them? We're just going to kill everyone around your Victor, and then we're going to take him down ourselves, as what you are saying, and they're laughing themselves their way back to the bank with this one. They're able to secure the second game win, the second round, and they're going to secure themselves into the third place of Group 1. So this fully locks Texas A&M out of finding themselves a better position in the standings. Now, both of these teams, like we said earlier, they're both making their way into the first round of playoffs. They're not going to be competing in that last chance qualification round that's going to be happening next week. But still, that's a really, really good outcome for you. And now Texas A&M, they have another series this weekend that they just got to go into, heads held high.
Yeah, they're going to do their best. And once again, it is Styler. This time, most assists, six player kill streak, most player damage, and most objective damage as well, claiming 5 accolades for themselves. Some maybe not as high as they wish, but beautiful work on this Sinclair that everyone should be very worried about moving forward.
Yep, absolutely terrifying. And we saw they're, doing the dirty work, getting in there from the back is going to be misclicked as well, right? Did so much heavy lifting for the team. Fractal did so much on the Billy and playing very aggressively, knowing how to play within their limits, even without that page, and getting away with it most of the time. And from Texas A&M, we did see, big plays there from Gigabyte. Was shown really, really brightly in the early game in combination with Encore, but was not able to convert it into a later game lead. And even though Macro Jesus did his best, right, played really, really well towards that later hand side of the game, the rest of the team was just not able to keep up with him. And, that's just how things go sometimes.
And I think it's something for the side of Texas A&M Maroon to really look forward to and learn from. As you said, they have another series. They have a few more matches to complete, and then they have the playoffs to work towards as well. So much to think about and so much to look forward to in more ways than one. But for us on the evening, Spafflez, that is it. It was a fantastic match, and I enjoyed every single moment of it, from the chaos, the slow pace from the early stages to the final finale, fireworks, and all of the team fights.
Yeah, it really did build into like a really, really big crescendo. And, I think it's a really good way to sort of close off this chapter. Now, like we said before, there are going to be last chance qualifiers next week. So if you're a big fan of, CSU, GMU, Champ, those are our locked in teams for next weekend. And we also have, 5 teams that have yet to make it into those last chance qualifiers. So make sure that you go tune in for that, and we'll be back with the main brackets over on the week of March 30th. So thank you all so much for tuning in. It was an absolute honor to be staying with you, Orbital, as well. Thank you to the production team behind the scenes. And this will be us signing off for tonight. Thank you.